Welcome back to All About Sales, the show where we decode what really drives success in the world of selling. I'm your host, Shiva Chiluveru, and today we are diving into one of the most favorite or searched topic, the psychology of selling. Because let's be honest, people always don't buy the best product, they buy what feels right. And that's where the real magic, or should I say, science of selling comes in. So, why do some pitches instantly click while some others fall flat? What actually happens in a buyer's mind between I'm just looking and okay, let's do this? So, to unpack all this, I've got Shivadhar Soma with me. So, earlier we had another episode with Mr. Shivadhar. So, I'm excited to talk to him again on psychology of selling in this podcast. So, Mr. Shivadhar Soma is a business leader with over 2 decades of experience in driving growth, strategy, and transformation across technology, SaaS, and emerging industries. From leading multi-million dollar P&Ls to mentoring startups and helping organizations scale through innovation, Shivdar brings a unique blend of strategic insight and human understanding to business. Welcome again, Shivdar. It's great to have you with us in another episode.
Hey, thanks, Shiva. It's always wonderful to be here.
So let's explore the emotional triggers, trust, storytelling, and everything that makes people say that one powerful word in sales or in business, the word yes.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
Great. So, to all who are listening, and if you're ever wondered what separates great sales people from good ones, this episode might just give you a right answer. So, to kickstart the episode, I have one first question for you, Shridhar. We always listen or read about psychology in selling. Do you really think psychology plays any role at all in selling?
Psychology is selling, and selling is psychology, I would say, because psychology is not just science, or art. It's actually, everything when it comes to selling. And selling, I mean, is not just super complex sales, but even the small sales, which is D2C, where you want to sell a 5 rupee candy. Psychology plays big role. So just to give you an example, psychology plays role not just with kids when you're selling candies to to garments, because if you want to sell fashion or luxury to to women, psychology definitely plays a role. And to complex IT sales, or complex sales to the CIOs or a CTO, or even to a CEO, it plays big role in various various avatars. So I'll probably take you through some of the examples as we go through. But yes, I mean, psychology of selling is the art of actually understanding what keeps the buyer up at night. So like we say, for a startup entrepreneur, it's always chasing their problems and what keeps him or her up at night. That's what we are trying to that's what the sales guy has to solve, in a way, help the entrepreneur or the business owner, or the CXO, to resolve his or her challenges. And end of the day, selling is all about solving problems. So giving solutions to problems. And that's when I would say, you gently offer them a pillow so that they can sleep peacefully.
I like the way you mentioned, like, solutions to the problem and giving a pillow so that they can sleep gently. So let me, probe a little bit more into the topic. So when you're talking about psychology, so are we talking about the logic side or the emotional side of human behavior?
So it's both, actually. So people buy emotionally first, and then they justify it with logic later on. The reason why they do it is, there is a undercurrent in the whole philosophy of psychology, which is the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is super powerful, and which is not visible, and that's exactly what we need to tap into when we really talk about psychology of sales. So when a customer says, let me think about it, what he really means, something is not, right about it, or, something is, not in place. So These are some of the underlying note that we need to figure out, or we need to understand when you talk to the clients. Because typically, I mean, if you're doing first time sales, when you're meeting the client for the first time, the first impressions are formed under 7 seconds. I mean, that is the power of subconscious mind. And it could be your tone or your confidence, your energy, your warmth, your certainty. All this play big role. And that's what they say in sales, that a sales rep with great product knowledge but with low confidence will lose to somebody who's got average knowledge but very strong presence. It could be presence of mind or confidence or yeah, aspiration to close a deal. So these are some of the subtle things that play big time when we actually talk about the real psychology or the subconscious mind in the area of sales.
It's very interesting the way you brought up about the power of subconscious mind. See, so far I've listened the topic of the effect of a subconscious mind or how it controls human behavior, mostly in terms of self improvement or becoming a better leader or a person or an individual. It's interesting or something new for me to understand how it influences sales aspect as well. So if you have to break down the psychological principles for every salesperson to understand, how would you do that?
It's very simple. You have to be present. So that is, that's the first thing, because you're present there for a purpose. And most often than not, the sales guys actually are trained to talk in a certain fashion. They just go and open up their sales deck and start presenting the sales deck, or the sales material. And in the process they actually miss out the whole philosophy of the very purpose they're there. I mean, they're in the client place to solve a problem, or to understand the problem in the first place. The idea is not to present, idea is to perceive. And most often than not, the most frustrating aspect for a client is that you straight away jump into the solution, or the sales representative straight away jumps into the solution part. So you have to take a step back and ask that one question: what is that you are trying to solve, or what keeps you awake at night, or what is that you are trying to solve, burning all your midnight oil. So unless you know the the first element, it is difficult for you to get into the the plus side of the client's trust or the psychology.
I totally agree with you when you mentioned that, right? Salespeople always jump to close a deal rather than solving the problem for the prospect or the end client. So, with the advent of AI, now we hear a lot of AI stuff happening, right? So, do you think that really creates an impact on the minds of the sales professionals or the buyers professional or the buyers?
Yeah, of course, yes. I would say to an extent. So buyers today come with fully loaded Gemini knowledge and ChatGPT confidence. Yeah, I mean, if you have to put it that way. So they don't need more information. They already have truckloads of information, which in fact, they are ready to present about your product to you, to you itself. What they need is context. What they need is interpretation. What they need is perspective. So, for you, it's a good thing that they've already, made their homework, which means, they're really in need of a solution. They're really in need of a product or a service. So that's a good validation for you, which means, okay, now that, they've done their homework, it is easier for me to resolve. And number two, since lot of information is already available on the internet or using AI chatbots, the lazy sales guys actually get easily filtered out. So which means you have a better play if you are well prepared. You know how to sell through. You know how to maneuver through the limited knowledge that they have, and put the right perspective to the discussion. So that's how you take advantage of AI or any digital media that's available to buyers, and that's how you play with the psychology of the buyer's mindset.
Interesting, interesting. So you've already mentioned, right, the information is available, how the buyer is already prepared. So have you experienced or have I come across as a sales people who lose confidence when the buyer is more informative or knowledgeable? And in that scenario, how do the sales professionals navigate so that they can maintain or retain the trust from the buyer?
So, see, primarily, if you're talking about trust, trust comes with transparency and commitment. So these two are non-negotiable when it comes to sales. More often than not, it is misguided or misunderstood that sales guys are generally they commit false promises, or they undercommit, or they take the route which is generally not suggested. But I wouldn't say that's the case. Maybe that happens with a lot of sales guys who underperform. The very reason why they underperform is because they don't have the ability to build trust with the clients. But when you talk about the top 8 to 10% of sales guys who achieve 90% of sales, the first thing that they do is they build trust, and this is achieved only through transparency and commitment. You have to be honest, because come what may, if you have, if it comes to information or if it comes to solutioning something that you're not aware of, you have to be frank. You have to be open. You can be upright to the with the client that this information is not available right now with me, and I'll probably be able to get back to you in a day or two. Clients are absolutely fine with that, instead of just jumping the gun or giving them some false information. Number two, like I said, you'll be able to offer a pillow to the client, or to solve his uh, sleep by solving his problem, only if you go that extra mile, unless you're committed to solve their problem. And and unless you're committed, nobody's going to help you, because you might have an army with you, to help for various aspects, be it a pre-sales guy or a solution architect or customer support, come what may, anybody for that matter, a domain expert. You have to take that extra pressure and go that extra mile to solve, and for that you have to be committed. So these two things are extremely visible to the customer. You can't hide these things, and that is the beauty. So you win the client subconsciously, and you the close the say the deal is already closed. Only logical aspect of the nitty-gritties or the how is something that he will figure out. So that is, I would say, that aspect of using trust and psychology really helps in solving. I'm talking about especially complex sales, which takes time. It takes maybe 3 months or 6 months, but you hit your numbers comfortably, even without the amount of pressure that the other sales guys would take running around closing multiple deals. So you'll be able to do much better with less effort in a very clean process.
Very interesting, Shivdar. Very interesting. So you have emphasized the importance of transparency and commitment to gain the trust of the buyer. So in that context, let me understand it a little bit more in detail. Do you see a blurry line where the salesperson can nudge the buyer from the influence phase to being more manipulative?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would go back to the element of commitment in terms of how are you going to solve the problem.
Oh,
And so there are multiple touch points. So this is an aspect that we spoke in the previous podcast as well. So you have to hear almost 8 to 9 no's from the client to get a yes. And during this process, you'll hear minute levels of commitment, which we call it as micro commitments. So It could be as simple as this is a product fit that we have identified for the solution or for the problem that we discussed last week. These are some of the changes that we made after talking to our industry expert. Please go through this. So you'll get a small nod from the client. Then you go back after a couple of days or after a week saying, "Look, dear customer, we solved a similar problem in Singapore or say in Mumbai, and we solved something similar, though the ticket size was much bigger or much smaller. It doesn't matter, but this is a problem we identified and resolved." Again, you'll hear a nod from the client, and it is not a clear yes; it is just a nod. So these are so what you're doing is you're planting these seeds in his or her subconscious mind. So these are some of those nudges that would eventually get into a bigger yes. So multiple smaller nods or smaller yeses will get you a big yes because you're you're connecting the dots. And once you connect the dots, the path is clear not only for you because you probably would have done this multiple times, but to the client because he's doing it for the first time. So you are helping him visualize the path towards the end goal. And that is exactly what you need to do, for which these small nods are required.
Micro commitments seems very powerful in the way you have explained it. And also, can you share more cues or where salespeople can pick up from the buyer in terms of their tone or body language? Are there any micro signals from the buyer which salespeople can notice or take it to their advantage?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You said it right. So micro signals again are very powerful because see the verbal language is just about 15 to 20% of the overall communication. The remaining 70-80% of the communication is your voice modulation, body language, tone, your sitting posture, your the way you shake hand. So non-verbal communication is super important, especially in sales. And that is a bigger part of psychology in selling. That's because you're not selling at that time. So the real selling happens when you're not selling. So, that's again another beauty or another very subtle aspect in sales. And buyers, not everybody has a smiling face. Not everybody would give a welcome shake hand. Not everybody would give you a hot, warm, hot coffee. There will be cold guys, there will be non-interested people, or they might be interested but they try to be neutral because they don't want to show their body language, they don't want people to read them and get into conclusion because of different reasons, personality, or it could be they don't want to be read for different reasons. So these are, these are the times that you have to be extra cautious. You should be confident. You should pursue not just once, twice, but every time you go. And let me tell you one simple thing. After 2 decades of sales career, for me, time is extremely important. If somebody says you have to be, let's meet at 9 a.m., I have to be there by 8:50 a.m. Come what may. And the funny part is, it's got into my DNA that today, even for marriages or any family events, I go early. And yeah, I mean, you know what happens in Indian event, right? So early events, if you go on time, and at times, it becomes jittery. Okay, why am I going early? But that is the discipline that you have to get into. And these are some of the, how should I say, micro signals, as you rightly micro signals that are super critical, super important when it comes to closing deals, big, small, complex, long, whatever. For sales guys, these things are non-negotiable. And yes, you have to, look for those signals and, take advantage of those moments.
Right, right. I totally resonate with you when you're talking about the timing part. So it has so happens with me as well. I always tend to be there before time on all occasions. And I also love the way you have mentioned that the real selling happens when you're not selling. I think it's totally true. And also have noticed that storytelling often converts better than the stats or explaining your features blankly. So, what do you think? Storytelling hits buyers so deeply on the psychological level.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting part which I keep talking about. So this is one of my favorite that I keep saying. So this subconscious mind is or would recognize only images, or I would say probably it captures and stores images better than words, and that is the real trick or the real secret of gaining the power over buyer's subconscious mind, because stories it's easy to retain stories, and that's probably why storytelling has been the world's oldest sales tool. And like I said, stories stick and numbers bounce. So if you want the buyer to retain your story, narrate a story instead of, or replace a story or a customer story with a 10 slide or a 20 slide deck. He will, or the client would resonate the problem that you have solved to somebody else, and be able to quickly take a decision, rather than going through the 20 slide deck and trying to figure out where am I in the in the deck, how do I fit in the deck, what problem to what level, all that stuff. So you don't need to complicate his decision process. The whole idea is to make it easy, and for that stories really sell well.
Great insight, Shivdhar. So you have so many years of experience, right? Over the period of time, do you see any change, particularly in the younger buyers, let's say Gen Z? Are they totally wired differently when it comes to trusting a salesperson or they're buying the way of buying?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So in one of the conversations that I had with a Gen Z founder, he told me that he purchased the product from me because I didn't pretend to know everything, because I was frank. I told him what I knew. I told him what I did not know, and that actually got the product selling. Probably that's a modern trust. You don't know, and the psychology of Gen Z is very straightforward. If I can put it that way, they can actually smell inauthenticity faster than you can say let's go. That's the speed at which they can sniff or smell inauthenticity. So they're pretty straightforward. They don't have, they don't bring in emotions like like us who are millennials. We bring a lot of baggage, tags, probably, I mean, for different reasons, obviously, because we come from a different generation. But these guys, Gen Z, they value transparency and purpose over, all the polish or the, fizz around the communication. For them, s- if you put anything straightforward, which is open and transparent, they buy it.
Super, super. So, since we are talking about Gen Z, right? Let's talk about some old school habits or tactics. So, what do you think? Some of them, or if you could name one of them, which a salesperson should give up, or which would turn off the modern buyers.
I, yeah, I mean, I still see some of these even today, which is like, this offers expires tomorrow. This is
Right.
limited offer. This 20% expires in the next 30 minutes. So I don't know, maybe this was selling 10, 15 years back. But today, frankly, if me or if the Gen Z guys or if the generation today, if they see, they literally laugh at it, because they don't relate to it.
Right.
So this fake urgency is something that we have to do away. The real scarcity actually beats fake deadlines. So it's almost like we are capping this number of seats to maintain quality. Everybody knows today it's an unlimited world, unlimited capacity. So there is nothing called capping. There is nothing called limitation. If not today, they're going to open it up again after a week. So this fake urgency lines have to be deleted going forward.
Great way of putting it, a fake urgency. Okay, so, and I have one last question for you, Shivdar. So, for the new salespeople who are listening or who are out there out, so what do you think, or what one mindset shift you can suggest which would make them better salespeople or great salespeople?
So this is something that again 15, 20 years back what we have been doing. Maybe we generally are able to relate to. We should stop trying to be the hero. It is the client. We should always understand the purpose of the sale. The purpose of the sale is the client, and the client is always the hero, or we should always put the client in the spotlight. You don't need to take the credit. See, the point here is in the in the whole process of doing this heroic act, we think we are the heroes, or we think we have done everything, and that's precisely why we should celebrate as a hero. See, you might be hero in the office because you're getting getting the sale, getting the revenue, getting your profits to the organization, but it's okay. I mean, you're part of the process. Everybody has played their role. So as you have taken the sales leadership role because you like it. I mean, you enjoy, but that doesn't mean you take the credit and be a hero. So when you help your customer, you actually put him in the spotlight, and you don't need to worry. And if you put your customer in the spotlight, in the sense, in the right way, the customers are going to chase you for more deals and more more orders. So always make the client the real hero. Make the other people in your in your team, be it in the organization or the other in the customer's organization, who's helped you close the deal, make them real heroes. Highlight them. You'll be chased for deals. That is my, or I would say, that's been my success mantra. Stay humble. Um, Enjoy the game is what I would, ask everybody who's getting into sales, or those who are already doing good, who do better. This is the mantra.
It's a great eye opener, Shivdar. I think today's conversation reminded us that selling is not about convincing the customer or the buyer and making a sale. It's all about being humble and making the client the hero. So thank you so much, Shivdar, for joining us and sharing your insights on the psychology of selling.
Thanks, Shiva. It's wonderful having been here once again. And like I said earlier, you're doing a fantastic job. Sales definitely, is losing it. You're losing its charm slowly for different reasons. Marketing is taking over, or there are more revenues. The sales cycles are changing, but the passionate sales leaders always have this in their DNAs. And like I said, it's always the the enjoyment, or being in sales and doing that, being there, doing it is joy. Is true. Is real joy. I do it every day, and thanks for bringing it up. In talking to different sales people across across India and across the globe. Fantastic job, and wishing you and your team super success.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. It's been pleasure talking to you over the two episodes on various topics. So, dear listeners, when you learn how people think, feel, and decide, you don't have to push for a yes, you create it. And a big thank you to Shivadhar Soma for breaking down the psychology behind every great sales conversation. So, if you found this valuable, don't forget to follow All About Sales and share this episode with someone who is in the business of influencing minds and moving hearts. And remember, the best salespeople aren't just talkers, They are listeners, observers, and storytellers.